I imagine she was a bit uppity. I mean, I didn't read the book. I listened to a British woman read the book for her, so the whole thing sounded
translated.
Translated very uppity. And then there was the one part where she fucking like kind of hustled those dudes for the cool dagger.
Yeah, that was a cool story.
She hustled those motherfuckers for like a sick fucking Tibetan dagger.
Well, yeah,
may or may not have been cursed.
And then somebody tried to steal it in the night. That she was like half asleep or something, and she saw something about someone tried to snatch it so it can magically disappear.
But they were too scared to, right?
Yeah. Well, she also thought she might have hallucinated the whole thing as well. Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Just doing a little pre-game talk there. Welcome to Kooks, Cranks, and Iconoclasts. I'm your host, Mike Lucht, and as always, I am joined by my co-host,
Spencer Lowry.
And Chris Wells.
And we are fucking back.
We're Kooks, Cranks, and Iconoclasts, and we're back!
And just at the top of the show, if you gentlemen will permit me, I would like to give a quick dedication of this episode to my dear departed friend, Reginald Van Buren, the cat. Died of AIDS. Didn't take it very well. And I'm sorry, and I want to say thank you guys for putting up with my shit. And Reggie's, he's in cat heaven, giving him hell.
I'll never forget that wrinkly little fuck.
Yeah. He's my special boy. This one's for you, Reggie. And once again, thank you guys. I apologize for not taking it well, and so yeah. Had some time off there, so
you want a cat? I can get you a cat.
Give it time.
I can get you a cat by 3 o'clock. With polish.
Yeah. Well, no, seriously, I have access to a fuckload of cats at work.
I could probably. They just show up at our house sometimes, like you did. So yeah, today we are covering Alexandra David-Neel. We're not going to call her that this episode, but that's how everything I've heard her name pronounced puts that extra David
We're
in there.
American around here. We say David-Neel.
She is a French, we'll say...
French-Belgian.
Pseudo-aristocrat, I guess. Actually, no, she's probably an aristocrat, I would say. She is historically known for being the first Westerner who was allowed into Tibet, and she's written over 30 books on her adventures. She did a lot of global traveling and saw a lot of cool, weird shit, and she's kind of the person who shaped modern perceptions on Tibet as far as the West is concerned.
It's like the real Brad Pitt in 7 years in Tibet.
Yeah, and better looking.
But she doubled it. She was 14 years in Tibet.
I never saw that, but...
So yeah, she's kind of a bit of an Indiana Jones, a real sisterhood of the traveling, getting her groove back, etc.
Yeah, she's Stella, and she got her groove back.
I don't think she ever lost it. Well... Actually, maybe she did, because she was married for the brief period, and then after that's when she did all the extra shit.
I think...
So maybe that was her getting her groove back.
I think she was, engaged to be married at, 15 years old, because, people were...
Which was the style for the time.
Yeah, people were so upstanding back then. But yeah, before we get into her story and all the miscellaneous strangeness of Tibet, as always, we're going to do a little What's Weird this week.
Okay, I'll go first. This is off of NPR. Came out 3 days ago. It's some students from the University of Tokyo have developed a actuated robot with living human skin attached to it.
Yeah, it's weird looking.
It's right now. It's a rudimentary. It's a face, but it's actual cultured human skin cells and human fibroblasts, which are like connective tissue, which helps it anchor onto the rubberized actuators. So it's got 2 layers, like a dermis epidermis, right now. No nerve sensation, and it's all just controlled mechanically.
Oh, that's good.
But
I don't want the robots to feel pain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's going to be part of the end game.
Yeah.
But it's basically to be used the reason these folks in Tokyo are making this shit
For fuckbots.
for bots. The fuck is understood.
Yeah. It's tacitly implied.
And with the end result, their hopes is that like human skin can heal, so they're trying to make a living human skin covering for robots that can heal itself.
Weird.
Much like when you get a scab on your knee.
So,
Yeah, well, that's what they say they're doing. And they as they started making it, they realized the purpose of wrinkles in skin, because they have this living hunk of skin that's moving, and they're learning a lot about why skin works the way it does.
Yeah, you can like see dehydration and things like that a lot better. Or if it's, I guess it would be a early indicator of damage of some kind.
And also, they say it could also be used on humans for skin repair.
Yeah, I would hope so.
I don't like the look of that thing.
I don't care for its demeanor.
I don't care.
It looked like an extra from the Hellraiser franchise.
Yeah, the one that yeah. Too lame for the movie.
I was gonna say earlier, like, that'd be weird if, those people who get up in arms about things like stem cells, etc., threw a huge shit fit about this, and then they were forced to, I don't know, just a random cross-narrative popped in my mind of having to instead harvest cells and tissues from tumors and teratomas, and then all of a sudden, like, these robots are covered in skin with, like, teeth and eyes everywhere.
True.
That was the quick nightmare vision that I had. But
Biohybrid Systems Laboratory in Tokyo.
That doesn't sound like an evil video game corporation at all.
It absolutely does.
From the Artificial Skin Syndicate. Not Syndicate, Division of the Japanese government.
3D printed lab grown meat.
Yeah, what I was going to say, that's my point. 3D printed meat and bones and muscle tissues. What they do is they 3D print like the cartilage, the connective tissue, and so it's like a sponge in the shape of whatever meat they want to grow, and then they inject it with the stem cells, and it's like the framework of the muscle, the piece of muscle they're trying to grow, and they have the targeted skin cells that are made to make that particular muscle, and it inoculates kind of like how mushroom mycelium will conquer substrate. It reaches in there and it already has the physical form, so it kind of just knows what to do after that because it's a living thing.
Do those stem cell samples that they use, like, basically if they like freeze it when they're not using it, it could last for a while.
I'm not sure about that, but I mean, it would make sense since you can do it with your boys.
Weird.
Have you heard about people getting the pig skin grafted onto them?
Yeah.
Pig skin, I've heard of fish skin used for burn victims.
I've heard of pig skin. I never fact checked this, but my buddy said he had a friend in a facility that he was in that had been in a meth lab fire and got pig skin grafted on. Said the pores were really large and the hairs were actually like still like pig hairy, which is like real coarse,
Yeah.
That's a Batman villain origin right there.
Yeah.
They use
blown up in a meth lab and then covered in experimental pigskin transplants.
I knew a guy like that.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. The whole see, this is a step in a better direction because at least they're not using fucking animal shit or like putting baboon hearts in people.
This could have a lot of medical benefits where you could just grow a new face.
Yeah.
But right here,
That's
they're just putting it on
face.
fucking robots.
Yeah. See,
so that's
it looks like the front of if Pixar made a cartoon movie about pocket pussies. That's what you would see right there.
I was gonna say chewed up bubblegum, but
but right now, but eventually it's gonna look like fucking Data from Star Trek. And fucking, we're not going to know, except he's really pale and he talks kind of funny.
I'm afraid I can't do that, dude.
But, I mean, I know a lot of pale people that talk funny, so I wouldn't know. Next thing you know, you got these fucking androids walking around with human skin on, and you're like...
Well, see, I think this is more of a dermal layer, and it doesn't have an epidermis. It doesn't have the melanin.
Not yet.
Not yet, but
can't have their epidermis showing.
Yeah, right? Nelson Muntz. Oh, by the way, just real quick, I want to say rest in peace to the lady who does Marge Simpson's voice.
Whoa,
she passed?
She
She
did?
died a few days ago.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And if you know, my son loves The Simpsons.
I'll say
and
Julie Kavanaugh, maybe? Her name? I
Nope.
could be wrong. Okay.
And I don't know what it is, but I know it's not that. But she passed on. The last maybe 7 years, you could tell her voice is very tired in the show, and that makes me wonder, like, how much were they just like forcing her, like cattle prodding her into the recording booth? You know, some poor frail old woman.
I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case, because I feel like The Simpsons should have.
It sounds like she hasn't wanted to do the voice in at least 5 years.
They probably
if
should
you
have
listen
wrapped
to
it
the
up
new
more.
episodes.
But did she still do the voice, or did they get somebody else?
Well, that remains to be seen.
Yeah.
They might have it all on an AI thing that can punch
Creepy.
it out, but
I mean, yeah, I listened to a very convincing.
I guarantee you
Morgan
they're not going to
Freeman
give up
AI
on the
other
show.
day.
Maybe they'll write her off. Maybe she'll die on the show, like
No.
Maud.
No, I mean they can replace people so easy. I mean,
Yeah,
Maud, wasn't that a
Ned Flanders'
connection to-
wife,
yeah,
Oh.
Maud
I was
Flanders.
thinking of another TV show where I thought someone
they've
died.
killed off a
No.
few people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was that nerdy guy.
Anywho,
Hans Mole Man?
No, the guy that was like the.
the professor, the
I'm
doctor-
pretty sure Hank Azaria just voiced him too, but it was like he was like the really
The Jerry Lewis.
No, he was like the
Professor
straight-laced
Frink.
business guy that fucking was just so pissed that Homer could like.
Oh, Grimes.
Grimes.
grimy.
Grimy. Yeah.
Okay.
Not Elon Musk's wife.
I thought with her white tattoo ink.
Oh yeah, we'll have to go into that later.
Yeah. Yeah, weird. I don't know. I see an underground
End of
definitely
a fucking
though.
era.
What did you call it? The underground skin syndicate? Artificial skin
Well,
syndicate?
no, the artificial skin ministry wing of the Japanese government.
What? Is that a real thing already?
Man,
Well, they
got-
have a ministry for everything.
Well, yeah.
Like,
They
they
just
have
call
a
it a
ministry.
ministry,
They have a
you know?
ministry of wooden puzzles. Seriously, no, that's not bullshit.
I could
they
see a definite like.
They have a big bureaucracy there.
They're very they like
got a-
organization. And,
yeah, they got a thing for everything.
formalities. They
Yeah.
love formalities over there.
I could
Yeah.
definitely see a black market emerging out of this, and like sort of like guilt-free cannibalism, or
You just see the worst in
organs.
everything, don't you?
well, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. If I was going to eat human flesh, I would prefer that it's sourced guilt-free. But I mean,
Yeah, lab grown. That way, it wouldn't have all the years of like
Oh,
aspirin
man.
and shit in it. You know,
fucking alcohol abuse and fucking
all the drugs we take and
fetal
the-
alcohol
all
syndrome.
the
chemicals we eat.
Oh yeah, there's like
know why I
there's
went there.
so much worse shit in our bodies.
You
Like,
got to find a free range human if you're gonna, you know,
Yeah.
like a feral,
raised
you know.
by wolves.
range fed.
all right,
Anywho.
can you take that off? It's smiling at me,
Yeah.
and I don't like it.
Yeah.
That's my what's this weird. What's weird this week?
What's it?
All right, well, for me, got a little bit of Tennessee ingenuity here that
Tennessee
was actually
waterfall.
not very smart. Taco Bell wrappers, tortillas, used to hide drugs found in during Mount Juliet traffic stop. Okay, so
I mean,
drugs disguised as Taco Bell food menu items were discovered during a traffic stop in Wilson County. A driver pulled over on I-40 Friday afternoon in Mount Juliet for a suspended license, which, why are you trafficking drugs with a suspended license, you
Yeah.
fucking retard?
jeez.
Hiding drugs in Taco Bell is already an I'm on drugs idea.
Yeah, okay, let me get to it.
I mean, if it was a small amount of drugs, you know, you mix
Yeah,
it with the
yeah.
meats.
Well, yeah, and you actually have food in there besides just the fucking tortilla? Because
You gotta
the
have
smell.
that orange grease
Yeah.
dribbling out
The
of it.
weight, the sauce pack. There was no sauce packets.
No more than you can eat. In
I
one
guarantee
setting.
you there was no sauce supply.
Methamphetamine, LSD, THC-laced
Oh.
fentanyl gummies,
Damn.
pills, and marijuana were found in the car. Like, there's a whole smorgasbord
that sounds alright.
of, like, if you look at this picture, it looks like very large. I mean, it's bigger than a dildo.
That's the metric we're going by.
That's the metric. Dildos are pretty big.
Is there a dildo to scale on the picture?
No, but okay. So there's these black wrapped plastic bags. They're wrapped in electrical tape, like your typical drug smuggling fucking type thing. But they're wrapped in tortillas and then wrapped in Taco Bell wrappers. But the thing is, they're fucking huge. anybody that's been to Taco Bell,
Especially these last
decade, yeah,
they don't make them like they used to.
They skimp you so fucking hard.
They're not even one dildo big.
Nobody, yeah, they're not even near a dildo.
Not even an anal toy.
No, not even like one of those trainers where they fucking try to break it in.
Yeah, the graduated sizes. Yeah.
You know, but they're fucking huge. Like, anybody looking at it would be like, oh, that's a big-ass fucking burrito from Taco Bell? I don't believe it.
I didn't know there was a colored karate belt system to dildos and butt plugs.
For anal stuff, yeah.
Anything worth doing is worth doing right.
Yeah, I mean, they got to break it in. You can't.
You don't want to hurt yourself.
You don't just go shoving that fist one. You know the one that's like a fist,
a rubber fist.
They got
this one.
Well, they got the fist one, and then they got the open hand but closed kind of thing.
Yeah. A mudra.
Yeah, it's like a cone. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's this one too.
It's like you're holding up a piece of paper in the air. That hand.
Yeah, or you're doing Italian hand gestures.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, fuck your mother.
Anyway, this is a fucking stupid way to smuggle drugs, and I've smuggled some drugs, and this is the worst way ever. Like, this is fucking terrible. Like, in a Taco Bell bag.
Mr. Police, open up.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Yeah, you can hide one fucking, like, you at least put some real fucking burritos in there.
Yeah, you can easily hide
one
a couple
burrito.
You can hide a couple 8-balls in a big beef.
I'm counting. I'm looking at the picture. You know where the cops spread it out in the trunk after they stop you?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh wait, 9, 10, 11.
Well, canisters?
11. They look like goddamn beer cans. They're so big. Like, yeah, that's how fucking big they are.
There's nothing at Taco Bell.
And there's 8 of them.
Their stomach was bigger than their eyes.
All
or
right.
their eyes were... Fuck.
Now, if you were just doing a special...
I know what you mean.
If you went and spent the extra money to get the grilled stuffed burrito with a whole bunch of extra meat in it, like 5 times extra meat and beans and rice, then maybe it would almost be that big.
And you have a friend working the grill there who's hooking you up.
Also...
You could have gone to Freebirds or something like that.
Yeah, okay, it's about the size of a Freebird, but you're putting them in Taco Bell wrappers.
Yeah, that's
And then
unwise.
when you go to lift it up...
Maybe Chipotle.
Some of these are marijuana. Some of these are fucking meth. All those things weigh the same. Every burrito needs to weigh the fucking same.
Damn, if that was like a taco place where you could go and get that.
I mean, that'd be a cool...
That'd be awesome.
That'd be a
Fourth
cool
meal, bro.
That actually happens quite a bit where somebody serving out the window at Taco Bell.
Yeah, my half-brother used to sell Coke out the Jack-in-the-Box window.
I remember I used to sell weed out of
late
Sonic.
80s. I remember. I used to buy weed from you at Sonic.
It's the only reason to buy anything from Sonic.
Hey, I will eat a Sonic.
They had good drinks, I guess.
It's like, let's go to Sonic. Chris is working car hop.
Yeah. Back when I had a pager. Page me, I'd call you back from the Sonic phone.
That little pill ball.
I sold you that pager.
Roll up in the... Well, I carried them out on the tray in the Sonic bag. And I would just hand it to you, and it looked like I was just giving you your Sonic. You hand me some money, it's all good.
Real quick, we just want to thank our newest sponsor, Sonic Drive.
I remember that's the first time I ever tried crank was at that Sonic. We all worked there together for a while.
Me too.
Remember that manager? He let you walk home with like fucking 40 patties and shit. Didn't give a fuck.
After those Arkansas guys get you all cranked up on meth, you're not even hungry anymore. They were.
But you cook them anyways.
You're just
want
hoarding
something to
food
do.
just to hoard it at that point.
Yeah, that was the first time
That was badass setup. Dude.
Yeah, it was.
I remember smoking a joint on the fry later, dude, in there. Fucking slipping on an inch of grease, smoking a joint, and then we make like a 10-patty burger with fucking onion rings and shit on it.
To be 16 again.
I just remember the cricket plague that hit around that time.
That was the year of the cricket plague. So that was, what, 2000? 99, 2000?
Somewhere in there.
About 2000.
Yeah,
about 2000, yeah.
It was pre-9/11, I know that. So yeah. Yep. Yeah, all the fucking crickets getting up in there.
Weird.
Ugh.
Every gas station in the front.
Stunk so bad, all those goddamn crickets.
Oh yeah, when they accumulate like that, there's an odor.
Anyway, don't smuggle drugs in fucking burritos. Come up with something better, okay? And if you're gonna smuggle it in burritos, only do like one burrito out of like 8 that's full of drugs. The rest are actual burritos. You know? Come on. Think, people. And also, don't smuggle drugs with an fucking suspended license.
Yeah.
Smuggling drugs is bad.
You want to make... Yeah, we don't advocate the cool crime of smuggling drugs.
Yeah. Because, you know what? All the drugs are shit now. You know, they're not good drugs.
Yeah.
The weed is quite top-notch these days compared to back then. But.
Because we're doing it in-house now, basically.
Yeah.
But fentanyl-laced weed gummies, that ought to tell you right there how fucked up shit is.
Yeah.
Go to your local, whatever they are, and get your fentanyl testing patches and strips.
Yeah, they're available
everywhere. You can get them on Amazon, I think.
Yep. I think there's some places that give them. I know we have a place around
you
here
get them
that
for free. Yeah, you can get them for free. Places.
So you can
Sometimes-
go to dancesafe.com and they'll
There you
send
go.
you some, yeah.
or bars and head shops, depending on
Yeah,
how
there's a
cool
lot
they
of
are.
places. Anyway, if you're gonna party responsibly.
Party on, Wayne.
Our public
Party
service
on, Garth.
announcement for the day.
So I got a bit of a special back from the break. What's weird this week?
Back from the brink.
Yeah. So this is also going to act as sort of a hors d'oeuvre, if you will, a horse do-over.
A moose-bouche.
Yes, for some of the stuff we got coming down the pipe of topics that we're going to be dealing with. But yeah, I found this story and it was just too fucking good and weird to pass up. Have either of you gentlemen ever heard of the space station Salyut 7? Russian space station?
Salyut?
Salyut.
I am not current on space problems.
I
This
know the
was in
Soyuz, but that's
That's
their
related. I know
capsule,
that.
their
Wait, is that
lander.
the one somebody stuck in space? Is that what we're talking about?
No. This is 1984 in July. So we're actually coming
I was
up.
a month old.
We're coming up on the 40-year anniversary of this, I'll say, alleged incident. So we all know that, especially if you probably work for the civilian space station, or not civilians, the Soviet space station. Yeah, you're probably towing the line of the whole, like, we don't really have an official belief system, religious or spirituality-wise. But there were several astronauts up in this space station who apparently had a encounter, we'll say, with what they
Rendezvous?
describe as energy beings. I hesitate to use the word that they really used because the word they used was angels. So I hesitate to use that word because I think it's just something that they used because they didn't have anything else to compare it to, probably. But this was mostly written off as these dudes being up in a fucking space capsule for 155 days straight. However, they were brought home soon after this incident, and 7 other astronauts went up to replace them, and within days of them being put back up in this capsule, the new ones, they saw the same thing.
No shit.
Yeah. So, what really came out of all this, like probably the weirdest thing that makes the most sense, is that these people, you know, they didn't want to go back down to Earth because they're going to be debriefed to fucking back by their Soviet overlords, especially as far as like science and what they were studying up there is concerned. They didn't want to mention any of it because they knew it would automatically kill their careers.
Oh, did they come out with this after the fact, or?
Yes, sort of. There is a bit of a sub-story to this. One of the guys who was involved ended up becoming the co-founder, I believe, of something called the 2045 Initiative, which is sort of a weird, like, transhumanist astronaut thing, but that's a side story if you want to look into it. 2045 Initiative. What was weird is that during the eventual, like, psych evaluations and debriefings and more heavily detailed accounts of what was going on, like what they were experiencing up in the space station, most of these people, the ones who were originally there and the ones who replaced them afterwards, talked about hearing weird whispers, weird noises, telepathy of sorts with some other. That one's probably a stretch because they try to say that, like, they heard these voices talking in their heads. And, you know, isolation in space.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it's the level of, let's say, overall detail and the psychedelic nature of some of the things they experienced that the number one thing that the Soviet scientists came up with out of all this study and talking to these people, etc., is that there may in fact be some form of psychedelic space radiation, which sounds cool as fuck.
Or it could have been a tulpa effect.
Maybe, yeah. We'll get into that later. But yeah, they said that, and obviously, you know, I don't know,
Frequencies beaming through space to get you high.
basically, yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah, like basically a strange, heretofore as yet unknown form of radiation that has a fucking strong psychedelic effect, because the visions and experiences these astronauts were talking about, they were saying that like they would try to go to sleep at night and they didn't really sleep. They just had prolonged out-of-body experiences where they were like a fucking alien on another planet, but like a not like a being, but like the alien equivalent of an animal, just running around on planets and shit. So lots of weird stuff, man. But the fact that, well, the reported fact, I'll say, that the first
Allegedly.
the first seven astronauts saw these, what they described as angels, and then without even talking to their replacements about the specifics of what had happened, because they were all very hush-hush about it and didn't want to talk about it because it would have ruined their fucking careers and probably landed them in a fucking tard hatch of some kind, and a Soviet tard hatch is not a good place to be.
Ooh.
So, yeah, they didn't even exchange stories about this, and they're actually, like,
The booby gulag.
talking about how, like, they would tell the greenhorns, don't mention this to anyone, because it's gonna fuck you in the long run. But then these replacement astronauts ended up seeing the same thing when they compared notes later. So, and then also when they came back down, they explained going through weird experiences that sound a lot like drug withdrawals as well, which leans more towards the fucking psychedelic space
Or
radiation.
vodka withdrawal.
Actually, they're also doing, I don't know if it was these specific Soviet astronauts, but I do know that Soviet astronauts have done sex in space experiments.
I bet you bust so hard up there.
Oh, I'm sure. I bet you, like, move backwards. You get a really fucking good one. So, yeah. We're going to get
Don't
into...
get it on the instruments.
Don't clog the instruments. Yeah, I just wanted to put this little, like, dose of weirdness out there, because not too far down the road, we're going to be getting into all kinds of weird, freaky Soviet shit, and this is just sort of like wet the whistle down the line. But yeah, there's a lot of
That's weird.
yeah, there's a lot of fucking weird stories like this. I'm finding all kinds of new stuff every day. So yeah, that's what's weird this week.
Wasn't that weird in 84?
Yeah, but I found out about it this week.
Well,
I'm trying to really bring the weird as much as I can in these next few episodes.
all right.
Yeah, feel
I'll
free to
believe
do
it
the
when I
same.
see it.
So yeah, today's subject, Alexandra David-Neel. She was born Louise Eugenie Alexandrine Marie David.
It's a long ass fucking name.
That's
Yeah.
a long walk. To
I-
that name.
Instantly thought of Larry David on those last two names.
Yeah.
Born the 24th of October, 1868. Died the 8th of September, 1969. 101 years old. She was a Belgian-French explorer, a spiritualist, a Buddhist, an anarchist, an opera singer, a writer, a butcher, a baker, a candlestick maker.
Candlestick maker.
I think...
I bet she dipped a wick or two in her.
yeah.
Hey, we'll touch on Tantra later.
She's real jowly in this picture I see right here.
Yeah,
She's jowly.
I'm hesitant to say that
Chops.
she's a looker because I don't know how young she is in her younger pictures.
It
but-
says teenage. So
Okay.
yeah, it's probably a little too young.
Yeah. But there's one of her... She was also a member of Scottish Rite Co-Masonry.
30th degree.
Yeah, she was up there. And she was also a member of the Theosophical Society. And
Madame Blavatsky.
yeah, the Theosophical Society was really lighting a fire under people's asses in these days to sort of go east, especially Tibet, and get up all in that mystical doings on.
Wait a minute.
whatever
Where was she
going.
during World War II? I missed that part. We'll have to get there.
Yeah, it's in here somewhere.
Yeah, we'll get there.
That's it, because, old Blavatsky.
But yeah, she wrote 30 books in total over her life about all her various travels and adventures. Kind of a female Indiana Jones meets, I would say there's a little Blavatsky in there
Yeah,
as well.
she was a spiritual, like, she was, like, looking for spiritual and mental kind of stuff, like
Yeah.
enlightenment, She was a knowledge seeker, it seems, because she had a career as a fucking successful opera singer, and that was when she was like, I think 18 to, or maybe in her 20s, early 20s.
See, that's how you get to do stuff like this. You make a big nut, get a big valise of money first.
Yeah.
And then you could really, this is really putting her fortune to good use, I think.
Yeah, she was born into money, too.
She was born into money, married into money, and also made her own money. Yeah. So she was a bit of a baller. I mean, she did have, what was it, 3 servants that trekked along with her?
I feel like there was just more and more servants
everybody seemed to turn into a servant. Through that book, everybody was like, we let the servants and the guides, and
she's a Kavorka woman,
and the fucking horse wranglers.
Kavorka.
Her most best known and best selling book, Magic and Mystery in Tibet, which is also our primary source for today, was published in 1929. She's been a huge influence on the beat writers, specifically Jack Kerouac, Allen Ginsberg, all those beat, bop, boop, bongo
more
drum.
Like Jed beat writers.
Bongo drum beating crazy diamonds that shine on.
The first hipsters.
She, in her early years, too, I'd read that she was already into reading about various spiritualities and religions and shit. And it said that when she was a teenager, she was already practicing austerities, which, fasting and probably, what do you call it?
She was getting into anarchism early, too.
Abstinence of some sort.
When you don't got TV and internet, and you have money, you tend to go into all kinds of stuff. You learn a lot of shit because what else is there to do?
The really weird part about this stuff that she was doing earlier on in her teenage to early 20 years is that she was also practicing, like, weird fringe forms of, like, Catholic self-flagellation and shit like that.
No shit, I missed that part.
Yeah, she would, like, fucking whip herself and drop down and give me 20 Hail Marys and fucking getting bruises on her knees.
She rend her clothing and whatnot.
So, she has a fucking crazy storied career all throughout her early years. We kind of mostly want to focus on her travels in Tibet, which is what she's well known for. She did get married at 36. Wait, is that her second husband? Hold on.
I was looking through this, and yeah, the marriage at 36.
Okay, yeah, she was promised to someone as a teenager, but I guess that didn't work out.
Well, yeah, because she was a woman about town, actually a woman about the world, or at least the European side of the world.
The debutante party. She's coming out.
Whoa, put her back in. She's not done yet.
Yeah.
And she was an opera singer at the Hanoi Opera House.
She spent a lot of time in Japan. I mean, she's a well-traveled lady.
She had a residency everywhere but Vegas.
Yeah, she was, by the end, she was like a naturalized Easterner sort of thing,
She, I guess, like, knowledge about,
honorary
East Asia.
Did we get how many languages she spoke? Because she, with all this travel, she had to have been...
Yeah, I didn't get an exact number, but I know she was studying early on when she was studying her, religious and spiritual paths and doing the austerities and the self-flagellation type stuff.
Flagellation is still just a funny word to me.
Yeah. It's like when you hit someone with a cat of nine tails and they fart instantly. Let's see. Can you, she got married at 36 to Philip Neil de Saint-Sauveur. She had been in love with him since 15th of September, 1900. So, 36, that's about right, yeah. Their life together
was... Good age for back then.
Yeah, I kind of think most people should wait until about that age, but that's just me. I'm old-fashioned. Their life together was sometimes turbulent but characterized by mutual respect. It was interrupted by her departure alone for her third trip to India from 1911 to 1925. The second one was carried out for a singing tour, 9th of August, 1911. She did not want children, aware that motherhood was incompatible with her need for independence and her inclination to education.
Right on.
She promised to return to Philippe in 19 months.
She must have been doing it the French style.
Watch Boardwalk Empire. You'll find out what that means.
It means in the ass.
I thought it was the mouth.
Or I think both of them.
I think just sodomy.
General sodomy.
Yeah, general sodomy.
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 Sodomy, soda you, soda everybody.
She promised to return to Philippe in 19 months, but it was 14 years later, May 1925, when they met again.
He's just a skeleton with like cobwebs.
He's got flowers and chocolate waiting outside of their house. When they met again, separating after some days. So yes, obviously it would not last long after that. David-Neel come back with her exploration partner, the young Lama Afor Yongdin, whom she would make her adopted son in 1929.
You think she had an affair with that adopted son?
Well, see, I wouldn't rule out the possibilities because Tibetan Buddhism is very strongly interlinked with tantric practices. Now, tantra doesn't always mean fucking. Basically, tantra is just a word that like translates to sorcery or magic, for lack of a better word.
I just in the book there was a part about there were the people that abstained, like the monks or the practicers that abstained from sex entirely.
Ascetics, I think they're called.
But then there was the ones that were all horny and fucking. Yeah. So it's like it goes all the ways. So but it seemed like she was a worldly woman, so she probably went in Tibet.
I mean, yeah, she's obviously...
You try them both.
She's an independent lady. She's out there doing stuff, trying things.
Jowly.
I'm not passing judgments on her. Do what you do, girl. Fucking live in the world.
Get your groove back.
Learn to exhale. Legend has that her husband was also her patron. The truth is probably quite different. She had, at her marriage, her own personal fortune. She adopted... What was his name again? Can you go back up real quick?
Hell no.
Lama Afor Yongdin. So
he did become a lama.
Yeah. Lama basically translates to teacher. There are more loose translations that, depending on whether you're a male or female lama, can translate to like great father or great mother, but it mostly means teacher.
All right, so the llama, the animal...
That's spelled different.
Llama.
No, it is spelled the same. It's two L's, right?
Yeah, but that's
one
just
L.
one L.
Oh, I missed that part.
You see?
Well, y'all saw that video of the cool llama with the fucking Tennessee waterfall.
Yeah,
it was pretty sick.
That's the guy your girlfriend says not to worry about. Alexandra David-Neel traveled for the second time to India to further her study of Buddhism. In 1912, she arrived at the royal monastery of Sikkim, where she befriended Maharaj Kumar, or Crown Prince, whose name was... There's going to be a lot of French.
There was so many...
There's going to be a lot of Tibetan words that we're going to very likely butcher.
I don't even know what half of them were. I went through the book.
And made this episode really...
Full disclosure, I didn't read the book. I listened to it.
That counts. So his name was Sidkyong Toku Namgyal. The eldest son of the sovereign, Chogyal, of his kingdom, young Afor Yongdin in one of these monasteries, 15 years old, whom she would later adopt as her son. That's the guy. Both decided to retire in a hermitage cavern at more than 4,000 meters, or 13,000 feet in freedom units, above sea level in northern Sikkim.
Hard to breathe.
Yeah. During most of this time that she has her craziest encounters and adventures. So, I guess,
weak diet, low oxygen.
Yeah.
My interpretation is also, if you're around all these
Hashish.
people that are everybody believes all this crazy weird stuff, and you are immersing yourself in that society and their culture.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you start to believe it too? And also, yes, the low oxygen and all that. But and she was also doing the practices of trying to do the same things they do with the meditations, the rituals, all that stuff. She was balls deep in it, or labias deep, I guess.
Lip flaps a flailing.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly what you're saying. It's like the power of everyone else around her, like the thought forms, the consciousness, the way they look at the world. I think you could easily get into it to a point to where
these like ascetic practices of like becoming an anchorite, which basically just means becoming like a hermit in a cave. You seal yourself off, only eating just the food you need to live, basically, for survival.
Which it didn't sound like there was a lot of food there. I mean, they're in the fucking mountains. They that butter. The butter came up constantly in this book. Butter is like
butter's a bit of a luxury,
like yak butter. And,
well, that's the thing. They had they had livestock, and they lived off the livestock and a lot of, I guess, dairy products.
Butter and milk.
Butter and milk.
Yep. She and many others in that anchorite living situation rely mostly on donations and alms, for lack of a better word, from other people or the, I guess, younger students who, like, basically
bring them food,
the frat pledges into the Buddhist.
She also had a secret pouch under her fucking robe of cash.
Yeah.
And silver, or I think it was silver, is what she said.
She made quite a few.
And she also packed a pistol.
Yeah, she made quite a few under the table deals for things here and there. But yeah, the llama mama.
There it is. We got it.
Nice.
Yeah, she or these practices of like becoming a religious hermit and only eating the food that you need for survival. Now, what I'm about to say, I'm not calling Buddhism in any way or any of its subdivisions a cult.
Of course
but
not.
These are like things that you do to like reset yourself in a way, I think. And that's why most cults...
Exertion, starvation.
They shut you off.
Sleep deprivation.
Because they want to rebuild you in their way.
Prison and the military do the same thing.
Yeah. I also think it's weird that a lot of Buddhist monastery monks wear the same shade of orange as they do when, like, in prisons. At least in movies. Different. It's pretty close.
It's the prison ones are more bright until you watch them a few times.
Shaving your head and... Yeah, shaving your head and wearing that color orange. I don't know, like... There are weird parallels between prison and a monastery.
That was where because I did remark to the guys that 2 chapters in, it was very slow, and listening to this British woman read it was very slow. But then I got into the part about the meditations and solitary in a fucking cave, and I'm like, I can identify with that because I've done that.
This is what separates this practice from how a cult would treat you, because you're relying on your own inner monologues, inner thoughts. You're getting
and it's
to
voluntary.
Yes, it's you're getting to the bottom of your brain, basically.
Yeah.
What
did you have any revelatory things when you were doing your meditation?
I can't go into all of them right now, but I did do because my buddy sent me Buddhist meditation stuff. And, like, I actually read that because, I mean, what else fucking do? I played poker against myself most mornings. Every morning my ritual was play a couple hands of poker against my left hand versus my right hand. I had...
Give you
I bet that had some weird bicameral mind.
It was... I did some stuff, but it eventually...
I saw some shit.
It eventually, yes. I did... I eventually found peace. That's what happened. Like, even in this most grisly fucking... And I could hear other people. We could yell and talk through the walls, so it wasn't completely isolated. And a guy come by every 30 minutes to make sure you're still alive.
Didn't you have a pet bird, too, that would fly in the window?
No.
It was a mouse.
Oh.
I had a scorpion.
Oh.
Really?
I was talking shit, but you're serious?
No, I caught a scorpion that came in my cell, and I kept it for a few days. I let him go eventually.
You've always, you used to have scorpions and those glow-in-the-dark spiders and
This was in Kaufman County. It's a little out south of Dallas, so that it was rural-ish, and we had scorpions that would come in through the, I don't know where the fuck they came in. They could get in, we couldn't get out. But,
that might be your totem animal.
I did. I kept
You've had scorpions a lot.
I have had scorpions a lot, yeah. Usually emperor scorpions. This was a regular...
like a brown one,
little brown Texas scorpion, yeah, and I had one of those for a few days.
I stepped on one of those once, fucking hurt.
But I felt bad after a few days and let him go, even though I knew he wasn't going to get anywhere.
This ain't no place for a free spirit.
Yeah, for real. But I let him go, and plus I was like, I can't catch any other bugs to feed him, and he didn't want to eat my fucking leftover biscuits.
That'd be weird if you were like, where you going? Daddy needs his medicine. And you're just getting high off fucking
don't people
scorpion
smoke scorpion venom? And
there are certain... This is a Texas scorpion. You can't get shit off them.
Yeah, it probably just
I tried
real bad.
Yeah, it would just...
It was trying to squeeze it.
It's basically like getting stung by a wasp, basically, which is just irritation and histamines, and I didn't need that.
I'm feeling allergic to stings that cause me to die.
But yes, that was where my relation to this came in, and that's where my interest peaked a little.
I was totally joking, but you really had a pet.
I guess we should kind of like cover some of the encounters with strangeness because, like we said, our primary source is her book Magic and Mystery in Tibet, which is by no means the definitive collection of all the weird, occult, mystical shit that she encountered or ran into, but it's probably the most, I would say, slightly more focused on that kind of stuff than anything else. We were also going to try a valiant attempt, but the more I think about it, it's just nothing doing. We were going to try and explain the tenets of Vajrayana Buddhism, which there's the three main schools of Buddhism. Yeah, there's Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana. Basically, Vajrayana has several other names it goes by, such as Tantric Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, esoteric Buddhism, or if it's being practiced in Japan, I believe it's called Shingon.
Buddhism after dark.
Yeah, yeah, kind of. This is where tantric stuff is incorporated into it. It's not, and like we said, it's not always like sex acts or whatever, although that is one major pathway to enlightenment if you're doing it right, if you're doing it for the right reasons. This is where like Western notions of sex magic came from. And if you look at like, I'll try to include a link in the show notes to a lot of the art, the Buddhist, like, there's a name for them, I forget the specific name.
Iconography.
Yeah, the iconography of all their peaceful and wrathful deities, and most of them are like in the midst.
I will say the coolest fucking looking deities of all deities.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking metal. What's that phrase? Oh yeah, you can see most of these deities in flagrante delicto, I believe.
Oh yeah, they're all fucking
coitus interruptus.
Yeah, mid-coit. So there's just, I don't know, the art itself is fucking awesome.
So they're all in their O face.
Kind of. Well, actually, most of them have like
their O six-arm face.
It's like the scary, angry face most
Hate
of the
fucking?
time. Kind of, but it's not directed.
Eyes,
it's not directed
big
at the sexual partner.
Kinda
It's directed
uncanny.
it's directed at anyone who
Like as if you walked
sees
in on them
Kind
while
of.
you're interrupted. Literally,
It's like you're trying to
interrupt
fuck,
us.
It's like you're trying to fuck the universe.
See, the Tibetan Book of the Dead is like where most people kind of, at least in America in the last, I don't know, 50, 60 years, usually get their introduction to Tibet and any of their spiritual beliefs and practices, even though it's not that really a big inclusion in their belief system, but the beat writers and the hippies, etc., made it a very popular book because they were using it as sort of a primer guide to hallucinogenic experiences, etc. It really only boils down to 3 chapters of a long series of beliefs and practices written by the de facto, I guess you'd call it, founder of Vajrayana Buddhism, named Padmasambhava, I believe is how you say it. Long time ago, in like the 4th century or some shit.
6th, I believe.
Yeah, I don't even remember. It was a long fucking time ago.
I'm
That's all I
thinking
know.
6.
In the 8th, 9th century, somewhere in that vein.
You're all morons!
And the Tibetan Book of the Dead, as most Westerners know, was just 3 chapters pulled from an even bigger religious treatise, I guess you'd call it, of beliefs and practices that, and I'm going to have to paraphrase the title, but I think it's like Meditations on the 1001 Peaceful and Wrathful Deities. The Tibetan Book of the Dead is like when you go into what's called the Bardo realm after you die. It's sort of a limbo, and you get all these
Like on
opportunities.
Beetlejuice. You get the book that comes about.
Watch out for those fucking sandworms.
Yeah. Not to be confused with the Necronomicon. Which
No,
is
yeah,
fake.
yeah.
Yeah. This
Uh,
one's real.
Handbook for the Recently Deceased.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's actually the Tibetan Book of the Dead proper is actually meant to be read aloud to someone as they're dying. And there's a lot of teachings like this in Tibetan Buddhist religious scripture, if you can call it that. One of the more popular Buddhists, or I guess equivalent would be saints, in Tibetan Buddhism was a dude way back in the day named Milarepa, who basically freestyle rapped all of his prayers, and like everything he did was like written down.
Extemporaneous.
Yeah, he just like spontaneously busted out into like religious, worshipful prayer and thankfulness for nature, which is also, his story is really interesting because
Like Macklemore.
it starts off... What? Take your word for it.
I don't know what that means.
I was thinking more Raekwon, but no, his story in itself is also pretty interesting because it starts off almost exactly like Hamlet or The Lion King. And then, like, his mom, like, you know, he's left shit when his father dies, his father's rich and powerful, and then the uncle swoops in and fucks everyone out of it. So his mom sent him away to learn black magic, and he spent all these years studying occultism under fucking the crazy tantrics that we'll maybe touch on a little bit, like the spooky, scary ones who hang out in the fucking charnel ground and kick it with dead bodies and shit like that. For whatever reason. For whatever reason, you kick it with a dead body.
I've heard about meditating next to dead, like decomposing.
All the stuff they were doing with the dead bodies and all, like, and it seemed like she encountered so many different people that had, all of them had a different take on it, kind of like all the different people that she was going, when she was going through Tibet, she was with all the different little tribes and different monasteries and whatnot, and the cities, and everybody she encountered had like their own little fucking weird thing.
Yeah,
that was kind of cool. I did like that.
Yeah, like
regionality.
It's all about, and see, this is one of the reasons like Buddhism, specifically Tibetan Buddhism, speaks to me in a way because I view it as kind of like the religious equivalent of a technology to a degree, in that it has something for whatever spiritual, I don't know, achievement or just weird shit that you could encounter in life of a spiritual nature.
Glossarized it.
That was the other thing I noticed. Everyone she encountered was on some kind of fucking mission. Like, they had a task at hand that they were, like, trying to do. They were trying to deal with whatever demon or fucking whatever they had, or they had to deal with the death of somebody, and they had to go through all this. Everyone was traveling through there. She crossed the paths of many travelers, and they were all like on a mission to do something. They had to make it.
If you don't aim.
They had to make their way to another little village on the other side of the fucking mountain. Pilgrimages. They all had some kind of pilgrimage with some kind of different fucking mission, and it was very
Pilgrim
RPG. Like the whole thing was RPG. Everybody side quests. The whole thing was so many side quests,
purpose driven, etc.
Very fucking hobbits and shit.
Earth, wind, and fire, back to the Shire.
It's, I don't know, there's something for everything, like, whereas Christianity is like, if you get possessed by something, it's probably a demon and you need an exorcist. I mean, there are exorcists in Vajrayana Buddhism, but there's also oracles who get possessed by spirits on purpose to see the future and things like that, or how to get rid of demons or zombies, as we'll discuss.
But they all had all of them were, they feared, but they respected all the things that they thought were kind of bad.
They had to work with them.
Yeah, they had to work with them. It wasn't an exorcism like we think of the Catholics.
Yeah, it's part of nature, and that like these wrathful deities I was mentioning, they're not meant to be scary. They're sort of like guardians of the law or the word of law or dharma, and they're viewed as more. No. You come down from there. No, they're viewed as more akin to forces of nature like lightning, or there's stories about people going to meditate in the woods where like they will specifically seek out a place that is associated with like being haunted by dark spirits or populated by ghoulish cannibals, etc.
To glean knowledge.
Yeah, because the fear is supposed to like wake you up into a greater state. And you, I don't know, I guess acknowledge all of existence as a whole with its good and its bad. And there was some story about a guy went to meditate. I think this was a story she told or someone told her about a guy who went to meditate in the mountains in one of these dark, scary places. And he was approached by a tiger. And he was like, oh shit, is that a actual tiger? Or am I hallucinating? Or is it a spirit pretending to be a tiger? And then before he was essentially mauled to death and eaten by a tiger, he came to the conclusion, like, I guess it doesn't matter. Yeah, fucking, it's all kind of the same thing. If I was supposed to be eaten by a tiger, then it means I'm, going on to my next incarnation, basically.
Tiger shit.
Yeah.
My time's come.
Just Nikes and tiger shit.
God, I bet tiger shit stinks.
Yeah, I mean, it's all like
You ever
meat and blood.
Cat shit stinks.
Yeah.
Think about it, fucking the size of a goddamn.
Yeah,
Oh, I bet you get a big
bunch
old
of
toxoplasmosis
kidneys
from
and
that shit.
fucking liver and shit.
Do tigers bury their shit like cats do?
I'm sure I think that's an
They
instinctual thing.
scratch.
I don't know. I have to we just rewatched Tiger King, but they didn't cover that.
I think it is
It's a good
instinctual.
fucking
'Cause
show, dude.
It's a great.
even when I watch the Outside Cats shit,
Joe
outside,
Exotic for president, 2024.
Best hope we
Kanye
got.
is his running mate. Yeah, when I see like random wild like feral cats poop outside, they in the grass, they still
Just sprinkle a
kick and
little.
shit. So yeah,
I think it's to like cover their tracks, maybe.
kinda. I think yeah.
I don't know. Watching a cat use the litter box, they seem appalled at the smell of their own shit.
Yes.
And they're like, I gotta cover this shit up.
Yeah.
It fucking stinks.
My cat didn't always make it to the litter box, but he knew when he shit on the carpet, he would like hang out by the shit to like take responsibility for it.
It's like Craig's dad.
how
on
noble.
Friday, spraying
Yeah.
the air freshener.
Yeah. Been smelling your shit for 22 years. Anywho, enough cat shit talk.
Yeah.
So yeah, Padmasambhava, who I mentioned earlier, which is where the
He's
person
got the
who
names down.
codified all these teachings and beliefs. He also felt that there was going to be in the future, and maybe this is due to whatever extrasensory or spiritual enlightenment, but he knew that at some point his teachings were going to be used for nefarious purposes and manipulated and twisted, as most religious teachings do end up sooner or later. So he engaged in this system of hiding what are called termas. And a terma is basically it's like buried treasure, but the buried treasure is a religious teaching. So it doesn't always have
Like
to
geocaching.
be... Yeah, or like time capsules, basically. Yeah. They're going to be opened at a specific time in the future. Or a child is born who grows up to become a llama or what have you, and they could be the terton. Or, I mean, a terma. A terton is someone who finds these terms.
I got lost listening to all these
Term.
fucking terms.
Yeah, I'm just trying to stick to the coolest, weirdest, and out there ones.
One of her little missions when she went on all these journeys, she was trying to use empirical data and empirical evidence to describe what the mystical
taking a
goings
Western
on
approach
yeah.
to it. Yeah.
But she failed miserably, which is a good thing because I mean she found stuff that she couldn't quantify.
Explain.
The practices of Vajrayana / Tantric / Tibetan Buddhism are so different from the other forms of Buddhism too, because they incorporated the original, or I guess aboriginal Tibetan people's beliefs of what was called Bon, B-O-N. I might be saying that wrong, but whatever. It's a form of shamanism, and that's why dealing with all these spirits and demons and shit, things like that, of that nature, dealing with the supernatural, were more easily incorporated into Vajrayana specifically. And the tantric practices, basically that's, I don't know, if you look up like left-hand path and right-hand path and things like that, this is where those terms come from. And it's through these practices that you can develop what are known as, and I'm probably going to butcher this word too, but I think it's called siddhis, or cities. Which
it's pronounced cities, yeah.
Cities, yeah. They're basically supernatural superpowers that you get from, like, they mean, like, achievement or attainment, basically. And once
merit badges.
Yeah, once you've reached a certain level of enlightenment, or you've put in enough frequent flyer meditation miles,
logged enough hours,
or your multi-level marketing mental abilities are boosted up to another degree.
Maybe they're mastering the art of self-induced DMT.
I wouldn't doubt it, because I mean,
like breathing practices and stuff like that.
DMT comes out of the pineal gland, doesn't it? In the brain?
So they say.
Or when you die, I guess it does, yeah.
Well, it's in all your cells, too, but yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's in every living cell, plant, animal, fungi.
Different levels.
Yeah.
Huh.
But it
is present.
Yeah, the chakras are another big part of this, but I think we've discussed before, at least briefly mentioned in a previous episode, like the chakras line up with all your major endocrine glands.
Yeah,
so like, yeah.
Right in the butthole.
That's right. Chris's favorite. So, yeah. Now,
The root chakra.
There's
That's the good one.
there's some things that are probably in the outermost realm of, let's say, believability. We're about to get into the shit that is very much, I would say, the je ne sais quoi of this book, really, why it stands out the most. And these are going to include, as previously mentioned, zombies, and tulpas. Tell us all about it.
Tulpas, otherwise known as your imaginary friend. Thought forms, imaginary friends, golems. Tulpas were basically started as bedrock in Buddhism. It's a thought form that a person can create.
Through
We'll use the analogy of the imaginary friend.
yeah.
It's like, but these would be originally tulpas were embodiments of people that would teach you lessons to
That's
get
the tulku, right? Because I just remember the phrase or the word tulku because I think a tulku could be a person or a tulpa.
I might have misread that. But
I heard that word mentioned a lot. I did no fucking clue what they were talking about.
Well, tulpas and tulpamancy started in Buddhism. Alexandra David-Neel, she created her own thought form or tulpa. She wanted to make a Friar Tuck like quote unquote Friar Tuck like being. See, the whole idea is that a tulpa can be created and eventually, like, you give birth to something that's a part of you, but then it goes off and does a separate thing.
Yeah, it's
tulpas,
like a conceptual child of sorts.
Yeah, but eventually, the idea is that it can become kind of sentient and kind of leave you. And if it's powerful enough, and if it's meditated on enough and studied on enough and given enough concentration, other people can see it as well.
Yeah.
A popular Western example of that is your Slender Man.
Yeah.
You know, and that girl that killed somebody because the Slender Man told him.
Yeah, like...
And that started as a creepypasta.
Yeah. See, and this is like, we were just talking about this, how, like, I think a tulpa, and this is where I'm seeing the biggest delineation, is that a tulpa is, like, more of a one-on-one thing. Because all the tulpamancy stuff, like modern tulpamancy, if that's even a word.
Yeah, it's a relationship between you and the tulpa.
Yeah, so like a lot of bronies were trying to basically build an imaginary friend that they could fuck.
By day, I'm a mortgage conveyancer at a law firm. But in my spare time, I'm also a brony.
Brony? What's a... Oh, the My Little Pony guy.
Yeah. There's a lot of overlap.
Quite disturbing.
Well, I kind of wanted to talk, about the Buddhist tradition of tulpas.
Right.
Before we get into what we call tulpas here now, a.k.a. Santa Claus, a.k.a. the Easter Bunny. And see, to me, people consider the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus as a tulpa, but to me, that doesn't quite jive with the
original.
Buddhist,
yeah.
So
so is tulpa a Buddhist term?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So modern day, like a chaos magic, they call it a servitor. It's a point of focus.
Like an idea golem.
Yeah, like an idea golem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And eventually, it's supposed to have separate behaviors that can't be traced back to the person that's imagining it.
Like it develops its own
sentient.
personality, etc., things like that.
Yes, and it would say things, ideally, that you couldn't have possibly come up with. Like, it has its own personality. And I'll listen to a podcast with a tulpamancer.
Yeah.
That they were interviewing the tulpamancer, and he put on the tulpa to speak to the interviewer.
Whoa, really?
And it was, it was the same voice, but he was channeling through him, and seemed to be a different personality. And it's something that takes a lot of discipline, a lot of commitment.
Yeah, and I read something earlier about how it's also been conflated with doppelgangers and seeing, like, I guess omens or, like, spirit doubles of people and things like that.
Right.
If it's indeed that, like, if that's the form it takes or whatever. I feel like those are usually more inadvertent, though, it sounds like, in a lot of the stories.
Yeah, and another thing in the Tulpa storyline is what's called a furba.
Ceremonial daggers.
Furbies?
Ceremonial daggers that through, intense concentration and through use can become possessed by what I guess you would call a tulpa.
Furbies did do that.
To where it's a being that's a thought form of an emotion sometimes.
For the 40-year-olds in our audience, if you've seen the Alec Baldwin vehicle, The Shadow, then that possessed knife that like flies around, basically, that's a Hollywood representation of a furba.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Alec Baldwin?
Yeah, The Shadow, where it's set in the 1930s.
That was goddamn Billy
The Golden Child?
No. That wasn't Alec Baldwin?
Yeah.
No, it was
Yeah,
Billy Zane.
That's the Phantom.
Oh, the Phantom.
Yeah.
I mix them up.
Honest mistake, they're both from the 1930s.
Yeah, they were both set in the 1930s, and fuck, I don't know about those characters otherwise.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a knife in the fucking Phantom too?
I don't remember.
I thought there was a possessed knife in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Anyway.
We'll circle back to that at a later date.
Add that to the list.
Yeah, so that's Tulpa's Alexandra David-Neel, David-Neel. She had hers. She had to destroy hers, and because I don't remember exactly why she had to destroy hers.
Quick question: can anybody destroy the tulpa, or does it have to be the creator?
That is
depends on the power of the tulpa.
Yeah,
and if other people are witness to it, or
we'll finish the story of her, but if I remember correctly, it was because it was getting away from her, basically.
Yeah, it was starting to,
out of her control.
I guess, scare her or whatever,
Yeah,
and there was one.
She old yellered that shit.
Basically,
yeah, with mind bullets.
Down the flat, we'll have a little field.
Feed the alfalfa for the rabbits.
The rabbits.
And I get the tender rabbits.
Yeah. And she writes in her book that someone, a servant, what have you, walked into the room and looked over right where she was envisioning the tulpa, as if he was seeing someone there. But I mean,
so there's like a sort of almost corroborative witness statement.
And
that's
that would
crazy.
be a very powerful tulpa.
Yeah.
If other people can kind of envision it too.
Yeah, like supposedly the more concentration, energy, and I guess they kind of are like pets to a degree too, because you put a lot of like emotion and energy into it. That makes them take on more, I guess, for lack of a better term, physical or close to physical existence.
Mm-hmm. It's very chaos magic-y.
Yeah, they totally adopted this.
I'm still going with the Furby thing. The Furbies did all that too.
Yeah, that falls under the pet stuff as well.
Yeah.
Except they sent all their information to a server that could be used against you later on in life. The tulpa, like, the way I kind of understand it, because there's a sort of, outside of servitors and chaos magic, there's another Western occultism concept called an egregore. And most people, when you look at stuff like egregores, whereas a tulpa would be one-on-one, an egregore is something like with Slender Man, like how all these people built this mythology, or like multiple people believe in Santa Claus or God or money. And they like feed all this energy into it. And this sort of, I don't know, this branches into my own weird theories about like aliens and cryptids and shit. But at the same time, I don't know, I wouldn't put it past somebody somewhere in the corridors of secret science, maybe somewhere, who studied the shit out of this. And maybe all the movies that, like, you know, we're talking about with Hollywood versus the aliens and all this, like...
It's like the girl from Ringu.
Yeah, like all the media, I don't know, can maybe like influence our ideas. Like somebody somewhere is maybe feeding into our concepts of things like aliens and cryptids or whatever, and we just sort of inadvertently feed this stuff. But I don't know. That's just one strange theory. Outside of tulpas, which I think this book was actually what like first popularized that in the West, that whole concept. Yeah, outside of dealing with tulpas, which, and I don't know if we mentioned it, but her Friar Tuck character that she created started like changing in appearance.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't fat and jolly anymore.
Without her thinking about it.
Yeah, he was like losing weight and causing mischief basically, so that's why she had to fucking put a mind bullet in the back of his head.
Could it be that it was mimicking her behavior at the time?
Well, that's what some of the like monks and shit were saying, because like she didn't have all the necessary proper training in meditation, etc., and that her Western mind state sort of
her tulpa didn't possess the same characteristics as a real monk.
Yeah, like she was
it possessed her characteristics.
Basically, yeah. She was, whether willingly or not, like maybe she was subconsciously feeding other ideas and concepts into her.
She got tired of that goddamn yak milk and fucking was getting all skinny, was a little pissy, and so was her tulpa. Her tulpa was tired of fucking yak milk.
Yeah, can only live on so many grains of rice for so long.
We'll see if we can
yak cheese again.
We need to find some fucking yak cheese. I bet it's all right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the yak milk always look good. They have it like hot and frothy.
What's that Indian India
golden
Indian
milk, turmeric and milk?
Ghee or
ghee? That's just clarified butter. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the butter with it's just the fat, the oil from the butter without all the milk solids and liquids.
So yeah, sometime down the road, I'm sure we'll touch on the subject of tulpas again, because I find the concept itself fascinating, and I really do think that there might be some sort of inadvertent tulpamancy on some people's behalf taking place in the world. I don't know. I could be wrong, but it seems like
it's like Minnie Driver.
Yeah, big head,
big
big face. One of the other sort of folklorish concepts brought to life during her travels and her memoirs of her travels involves what are called rolangs, which is essentially a zombie-like creature from Tibetan folklore. Ro is the word for corpse, and langs is the perfect tense of to rise up. So rolangs literally means a risen corpse. That can be animated through various means, and there are like 5, There's 2 means of animation. One is through tantric sorcery, and then there's a demonic rolang, which is basically possessed by an evil spirit. There's a sort of strange esoteric practice that some of these tantrics and tantric Buddhists will very seldom use, but it does happen, and it's called phowa. I think that's how you say it, P-H-O-W-A. And it's essentially soul transfer. So, like, if there was a really important, I don't know, lama or something, and he was in the middle of uncovering the secrets of the universe, and he couldn't quite die yet, they would pull his soul out and temporarily store it in an already dead body, things like that. That would be a good one, but in order
like an Airbnb kind of thing.
Yeah, cadaverous Airbnb. In order to create a rolang through tantric practices and occult means, you had to basically hang out with this corpse for however long. I think it's several days and nights, and you basically live alone with a corpse in your cave, and it'll start to move a little bit, they say. And then once it actually stands up and starts trying to walk, it'll try and jump on you, and you have to like grab it, and it'll try to stick its mouth on you, and the first thing you have to do is basically connect mouths with it and bite its tongue out.
Yeah.
So then the tongue can be made into like a special dagger that can kill that specific rolang. So it's already...
And she allegedly saw one of these petrified tongues that had been bitten off.
Yeah, the dagger, yeah. It sounds like a very fucked up, harrowing practice, but there are...
Not for me.
I bite off tongues all the time. Yeah, there's all kinds of Tibetan stories about these rolangs, and actually there's such a sort of, I'll say, sort of a given in their culture that most doorways and entries into domiciles and places where multiple people live, they have little staircases before you get to the door, because these rolangs can't bend. They like lurch, so they can't move their joints, and that way they just basically they go bonk, 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 trying to hit the door top so they can't get into your house. And this has become like a incorporated architectural feature in most living quarters in Tibet. But there's all kinds of stories that,
also, there's a lot of hills.
Yeah, that too. Easy to run away from. There's a lot of stories about the Rolangs. I don't really have any specific ones, but you can definitely see how they influenced the modern inception of the zombie mixed with like the voodoo stuff that we all know and love. But there's stories about demonic Rolangs who will bite someone, or no, they touch them on the head. If they touch you on the head, then you become possessed too. So there's that element of contagion, zombie contagion, basically. And they break it down into, let me see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 subgroups of Rolangs, because these 5 groups have their own specific vulnerabilities. And these are from easiest to kill to what sounds like the most fucking pain in the ass to kill. Le-Pag's-Langs, which is a skin zombie, which means you basically have to pierce the skin. Krog-Langs, or blood zombie, so you have to draw blood, which...
Wouldn't piercing the skin draw blood?
First blood.
Yeah. It's why if you don't draw blood, but it's a skin zombie, as long as you cut it, then that's good to go. It's done.
Don't gotta go for the brains.
Shalangs, or flesh zombies, you have to actually remove a section of flesh from their body. There's the Rooslangs, or bone zombies. You have to break a bone in their body to stop them. Or, I'm not even going to try to say this, RME-Langs, or mole zombies. Their only specific point of vulnerability is a mole somewhere on their body, and you have to find it.
Like an Achilles heel.
It's just a little special button?
Pretty much, yeah.
You push the button?
The shutdown button on the fucking zombie. So yeah, these zombies are, baked into their folklore and culture to various degrees. Now, there's another very interesting practice that is mentioned quite a few times in Magic and Mystery in Tibet, and it's what, up until 5 minutes ago, I think, we were calling
taint, right?
the Chode ritual. Did you say taint?
Chode. We found out it's chod.
Yeah, it's CHOD, so you can
the
forgive
gooch.
us for thinking chode to begin with.
Perineum.
It is a Tibetan Buddhist practice and lineage practiced by the highest Vajrayana subdivision, which I believe is called Dzogchen.
Rite of passion. It's a rite of passage, and it's like a devotive type thing.
Yeah. The word chod translates to severance, cutting, to cut off, or to slay in Tibetan.
No, it's got the little things over. That's chode.
Is it?
I think so.
Maybe
Motorhead has that.
Oh, okay.
So, chode.
Huh. Weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, chode ritual. That's also what fucking Stephen King named.
I got a little chode ritual I do.
Once every 3 to 4 months. No, Stephen King also, I think, named that part in It where all the kids bang each other.
Ugh.
I think he called that the chode ritual, so I don't know what the fuck he was pulling from, but...
Well,
we
don't want to know.
Doing a lot of cocaine back then.
Yeah, he was pulling from the bag with a key.
Yeah.
It is said to have been started by a Tibetan woman named Machik Lapdran in the 11th or 12th century. And basically what the chode ritual consists of is you meditate and visualize a bunch of hungry demons basically pulling your body apart and feasting on it. So it's like you, to put it in Western parlance, are the Jesus cracker and the wine. And in Buddhism, they believe that demons can be saved, once again using Western parlance. So like you're not fucked if you become a demon, you're not stuck that way the rest of your life. Even a demon can become enlightened. And if a demon becomes enlightened, they sort of become a civil service employee for the Buddhas and are usually turned into the wrathful deities we discussed earlier, which are called Dharmapalas or Dharma guardians. I find it strange, and maybe I mentioned this before too, but this practice has been around for thousands of years. It's very well sort of baked into the subconscious of a vast swath of people who have practiced this for many, many years in various parts of Eastern Asia
The destruction
and India.
of the self.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent to me of alien abduction. I don't know. Like there's if you were looking at it through different time frame lenses or whatever, because now we have the scientific veneer of aliens performing experiments or things like that, but the specific descriptions of these sound very much in line with an alien abduction experience. So I don't know.
It sounds to me a lot like my first couple of times trying ayahuasca.
Yeah,
being killed over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's meant to basically remove any last vestige of your connection or inability to let go of the material world in your life, basically.
You surrender to it.
Yeah, and then you come out of it, you basically offer your body as a feast of mercy to these demons and come back a better person for it. And people this is like one of the highest meditations that you can practice in Dzogchen, I believe it's called.
Mm-hmm.
So there's people that do this like many times in their life, and it sounds extremely fucking traumatizing and scary as shit. I mean, I know it's a meditative visual practice, but there was a story in the book about about Alexandra David-Neel watching people perform this meditation, and you can all you see is a person out in the middle of fucking nowhere, because once again, this is one of those things where people go out to haunted or demon-infested, monster-infested places out in the wild, and you just see them freaking the fuck out and like tearing at their skin, shit like that, just convulsing on the ground. They get real fucking into it. Yeah, it sounds like a rough one. It sounds like weird sort of shamanic initiation stuff that you see in a lot of cultures.
Yeah, they don't. It's not a joyous thing at the time. Like the people see.
It's like your
witnesses say that it looks like a person that's literally being ripped apart. You know, like the fear, the terror, the screaming.
It's like you're supposed to come out of it sort of put back together, I guess would be one way to put it. But yeah, it's meant to overall be beneficial to you, but it's more so in line that you are severing or cutting away any remaining vestiges of your attachments to the world and life. Yeah. There are allegedly subdivisions of these Tibetan Buddhist practices, specifically within Vajrayana and Dzogchen and things like that, of what I've heard referred to as Dugpas or Drukpas. And these are essentially like, that translates to dragon, and there's a whole school of what are called red hat lamas that are referred to as this. But in earlier Western introductions of these practices,
make Tibet great again.
The Dugpas and Drukpas were essentially referred to as black magicians. And these are like the crazy tantric sorcerers who, if they were in India, they'd be hanging out on the charnel ground, sitting on top of dead bodies. I almost said masturbating. Meditating, I'm sure there's a little both.
You gotta clear your head.
If you're good at it enough.
Eating the flesh of the dead. There's all kinds of... It's basically incorporating the most taboo thing that you can come up with, especially if you're coming from if you've grown up in Hindu practices or Buddhist practices, then things like eating meat, especially the meat of a dead fucking body.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much frowned upon everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, there are, of course, cultures, but...
one of the biggest taboos.
It's the taboo.
Yeah, the incorporation of drugs and alcohol. This is essentially where the concept in the West, as we know it, of left-hand path practices comes from. So it's essentially the big thing about Vajrayana Buddhism is that it's supposed to be the quickest but most dangerous way to become enlightened. So you're essentially trying to boost yourself forward into an enlightened state because the world needs Buddhas and Bodhisattvas badly.
That would, on the normal path, would take many
lifetimes.
Yep.
Yeah. That pretty much is like everything, let's say, base concept-wise. Now, I just wanted to, just for weirdness' sake of being weird, pull out a few related concepts. I highly recommend reading Magic and Mystery in Tibet. fucking awesome book. It's a good travelogue. It's got all kinds of weird little supernatural side stories. But
Great restaurant reviews.
4-star Yelp for that graveyard I ate in.
Rick Steves.
The practices and beliefs in Tibetan Buddhism, one of the big ones is a place referred to, it's the same place, but it's referred to as either Shambhala or Agartha. And this is basically the Hollow Earth. It's connected to Hollow Earth theories and stories.
Yeah, in the heart of the earth.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that it's also, I hesitate to use the one-on-one translation or conceptual comparison of the apocalypse in Buddhism, because they don't
have that.
They sort of do, but not really. There are prophecies and things like that. But there's supposed to be an end-time Buddha called the Maitreya, who's like the one that's going to usher in the fucking new golden age in the time of ultimate shittiness. And supposedly he's just chilling out underground in a secret kingdom with all this advanced technology and weaponry, which is weird for Buddhism. I don't, but this is one of the things that drew the Ahnenerbe and the Nazi occultists into looking into all that shit, why they sent people to Tibet to look into this stuff. And when the Nazis returned from Tibet, they were basically trying their damnedest to create a cultural glue or bridge of some sort between the quote-unquote Aryan race, as they saw themselves, and the people and practices of Tibet. When you get to the point in history where the Nazis come back, this is where you start to see mentions of something called the Society of Green Men, or the Green Dragon Society.
That I've heard.
Society of, or there's the Men in the Green Gloves. There's some reptilian alien shit going on here, because they try to relate these to being like Nagas, the snake people from Hindu mythology and folklore. And allegedly, the Green Dragon Society did exist. There's chronicles of it. Karl Halshofer, who was basically one of the, I guess, New Age gurus of Nazism, he was like chilling out in Japan and like keeping relations with the Empire and the Emperor Kozi. And he was supposedly initiated into this Green Dragon Society on the Japanese front. And then allegedly there were Allied soldiers checking buildings after Germany had been bombed the fuck out. And they supposedly found a circle of monks in like trench coats and green gloves who had commit ritual suicide inside one of these bombed out buildings. I don't know how true that is, but if you look into the whole Nazi-Tibet connection, most of it's folklore or just modernized fucking pulp literature, but still some pretty crazy cool stories. There's also connections between the people of Tibet with ancient alien stories. One particular that keeps coming up is the Dropa people, or Dropa stones. Sorry to break it to everyone, but that's a bullshit story. It was made up. It's probably propaganda.
What is it?
The Dropa.
Dropa?
Yeah, supposedly they found these stones in a cave in the Himalayan mountains, which is all up in that area.
Sounds very Temple of Doomy.
Yeah, this was like in the 1910s to 30s. I can't remember the exact date, but somewhere in there. They found some out-of-place artifacts that are supposedly like stone records that could not have been made with the available technology or means in those days. They're supposed to be several thousand years old, and it was all bullshit. It's probably something China cooked up propaganda-wise, because there's that whole China-Tibet thing that it's fucked up.
Yeah,
America's sticking their finger in there too.
There's
lately.
a lot there for a long time.
Yeah, we're not going to do it justice, so once again, check the show notes if you're interested.
Damn good coffee. And hot. Would everyone please take a seat? By way of explaining what we're about to do, I am first going to tell you a little bit about the country called Tibet. An extremely spiritual country. For centuries, the leader of Tibet has been known as the Dalai Lama. In 1950, Communist China invaded Tibet. And while leaving the Dalai Lama nominally in charge, they in fact seized control of the entire country. In 1959, after a Tibetan uprising against the Chinese, the Dalai Lama was forced to flee to India for his life and has lived in exile ever since. Following a dream I had 3 years ago, I have become deeply moved by the plight of the Tibetan people and filled with a desire to help them. I also awoke from the same dream, realizing that I had subconsciously gained knowledge of a deductive technique involving mind-body coordination operating hand in hand with the deepest level of intuition.
David Lynch, Twin Peaks. I know you guys, you saw it a long time ago. You still haven't seen it yet.
Long time ago.
Huge influence on David Lynch and a lot of the sort of built-in mythology of Twin Peaks. The idea of the Black Lodge, which is sort of an evil magician's... It's like the bad guy version of Ascended Masters or Secret Chiefs, things like that. They're the guys that are basically controlling everything with evil psychic powers, or just a Illuminati precursor, basically. And they definitely play into a lot of David Lynch's Twin Peaks mythology.
These evil sorcerers, P.E.S.E, they're called, they cultivate evil for the sake of evil, nothing else. They express themselves in darkness, for darkness without leavening motive. Now this ardent purity allows them to access a secret place where the cultivation of evil proceeds in exponential fashion, and with it, the furtherance of evil's resulting power. This place of power is tangible, and as such, it can be found, entered, and perhaps utilized in some fashion. The P.E.S.E have many names for it, but chief among them is the Black Lodge.
As well as the third and final season, it is chock full of crazy Buddhist imagery, which, once again, the iconography on these things is fucking insane. We're going to include a link to that as well. But, yeah, once again, check show notes, man, because there's stuff in there that we're not going to get to be able to cover all of it tonight. Yeah. But lots of interesting sidebars. So, yeah, I believe next week...
we are getting into the darker side of spirituality. Pun intended.
Oh no, he did it! Oh no, he did it!
Stay tuned.
Damn!
Yeah, Chris is in the captain's chair in that episode. And then I believe Spencer will be in the captain chair the week after that.
Yeah.
So I get to relax a little bit.
No, you don't.
No, I know. There's actually, it's some pretty interesting shit unfolding. A lot of dubious connections are being made. Lots of dots connected, T's crossed and set on fire in people's yards.
And a lot of bad misinterpretations.
Yeah. Funny how religion does that.
Yeah.
So yeah, this has been Kooks, Cranks, and Iconoclasts. Thanks for hanging out and waiting for us to come back. And we will be back on our weekly schedule from here on out. So, yeah, I'm your host, Mike Lucht. With me, as always,
Spencer Lowry
and Chris Wells. Check us out on. I'm fumbling.
Oh, we're on all the platforms now.
We are on the platforms now.
We're on Apple. Fuck my red monkey.
And I promise, I've been saying this for months, but I'm finally actually gonna fuck with the goddamn social media. So get on the socials. We'll load some of these pictures up. And we're going to do some fun stuff.
You want to get a hold of us directly, kooksandcranks@gmail.com.
Is that it?
I think so.
I think I have metal plume fever right now, actually.
I'm just thinking about steak.
It's that Sahara dust that's blowing in across the ocean right now.
Is that what that is? Yeah. I thought it was because I breathed in fucking galvanized vapor all afternoon.
Well, yeah, you got a double whammy.
You didn't even get high.
I'm having bouts of nausea and fucking, I'm not feeling great.
So, on that note, we're going to wrap it up, but we'll be back next week. Come and join us, folks. Thanks for listening. Peace.
Bye.
You take special care of him.
He's my special boy.